anyone who might be new to this series, Frieren is a fantasy story that looks at what life is like after the typical hero's journey has already happened. It's a show known for its beautiful world, thoughtful storytelling, and characters who feel incredibly real. It balances quiet, reflective moments with humor, adventure, and some truly memorable interactions between its cast of characters. One of the things that has helped the series connect with so many fans around the world is the work of the voice actors who bring these characters to life. Today, we're lucky enough to hear from the talented performers behind the English dub and learn a little bit more about what goes on into creating those performances. From stepping into the booth, to intercepting their characters, to some behind-the-scenes stories from working on the show, we'll spend some time talking with Mallory Rodak, Jill Harris, Christopher Fierro, and Jordan Nash Cruz. Learning about their experiences within the series, and later we'll answer some of the questions that were sent to us via a form online and some of my own sprinkled in magic, I guess. So, question for everybody. For anyone in the audience who may be new, how would you each describe Frieren Beyond Journey's End in one sentence?
One sentence. It's good.
Great.
What happens after the big event for a near immortal elf?
Ooh, I like that.
A nice slice of life until it gets too real all of a sudden.
I just really like cozy fantasy vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like The Hobbit and you're like, that's cool. I don't know. It's like comedy.
It does. It's like a little Lord of the Ringsy.
Yeah.
Well, another question that I actually have is like going into like finding your voice in each role. What were the biggest challenges in finding that voice with the personality just given on a piece of paper?
Fern's Japanese say, Kanaichi no say, we've actually shared several roles, so I'm kind of used to acting off of her, and we have a similar kind of sound. So yeah, I drew a lot of inspiration from her. It's just me, but very soft spoken.
Yeah, it's a very soft-spoken show because usually when I do deeper voices, it's very bombastic, but I could just be mellow, and so, and of course, with any kind of like, when you first record for a show, a new character, you kind of base it off like the depth and performance of the Japanese seiyuu. And then once you get like a few lines in, you kind of go back, because you kind of like lock into a voice or get comfortable. It's a little bit of experimenting that first session, but then you go back and just kind of re-record because when you get that voice set. But I would say a bit of that inspiration, obviously, Lord of the Rings, Gimli, but without the Scottish accent.
For me, it was just going in. I think the first session that I had like one line. 'Cause if you guys watch the show, you know, like at the end of every episode, there's like every character has like one line for the next episode. So I was going in and I had no idea what my character was, like even. I didn't know who Shark was, I didn't know anything. And Jade was just like, hey, I think something closer to your natural voice would sound good. So I just did my natural voice, but you know, I kind of younged him up a little bit so it makes him sound like he's a bit more like a teenager. And that's just kind of how the inspiration came about for Stark.
Yeah, I think for Frieren, she's such a complex character, so it was a lot of thinking of how I could encapsulate all the different facets of her personality, because she's so stoic, you know, she's been alive for 1,000 years or so, so you want to reflect that sort of storied life, all of her history, you know, the journey that she's been on, but also she's almost like innocent and childlike at times, you know, and so there's this innocence that emerges, like when she finds, you know, a grimoire or a mimic that she can jump right into, you know, so I wanted to convey that sort of sense of innocence and excitement as well, because she's still on her own journey of growing and learning. So it was a balance of not being too flat, not being too boring, but also not being too over the top or animated where it doesn't feel like a character that's been alive for, you know, 1,000 years.
Awesome. I'm going to change it up and make it a little of a fun question. If your character could give one piece of life advice, What do you think it would be?
Make women happy.
On International Women's Day, let's go.
Bro, don't take things too seriously. I enjoy the quiet moments of life and go on that side quest.
I feel like Frieren would be like, get a weekly planner, like, get really into Google Calendar.
I feel like Frieren would say, there's always a chance that there's a rare and valuable grimoire in this chest, so open every chest. Don't open every chest.
So I'm gonna dive in a little bit to every individual voice actor. There's some questions for each of you. So for Mallory, is there a character that you think brings out a different side of Frieren when they're on screen together?
Ooh, a different side of Frieren. I mean, they all influence her in some way or another, and I think that's what's so wonderful about how well the story is written, is the characters are not stagnant. You know, they have interactions with other characters, and then they learn and they grow from those interactions. So I think especially Fern, you know, the relationship of the two of them. Initially, she's like, I don't want an apprentice, I'm not interested. But then as we move on, you know, and the story progresses, she's noticing little things about Fern, you know, the things that she likes, what she doesn't like. And to me, that growth is really interesting to see her, you know, start to notice more things. But I think also that's due to some of the other characters. I think Himmel has influenced her a lot to kind of cherish the people around you. So it's like all of these different characters have different influences on Frieren as she's sort of learning and growing, and I just think it's a testament to how well this story's written.
Absolutely. And Jill, is there a part of Fern's personality that you personally relate to?
Oh God, yeah. So I really like that she's both very, very like mature in some ways. Like she wakes up on time, she does all the budgeting, but she also like cannot talk to anyone her age. Just like when she feels things about sharks, she's like, but it was interesting. Like I loved, like she grew up isolated, raised by a priest. I grew up in a very religious community. I was homeschooled. I was very socially awkward. But like I was like working in the church at 12. They were like, you can teach all the children Bible. You can do Sunday school, you 12-year-old. You're a very mature 12-year-old. And I was like cooking my own meals and stuff. And so like I relate to that a lot. And it's really interesting. My journey kind of parallels her. Like, I'm very adult in some ways, but in other aspects, I've had to kind of catch up, and I feel like I'm becoming a more rounded person.
Awesome. All right, Jordan.
Yes.
Stark can be both brave and very anxious at the same time. How did you balance those sides of his personality in your performance?
So Stark, correct, like he can be a little bit of a fraidy cat, but also very brave. So for me, I thought it was more of like him kind of dealing with some self-esteem issues. Like I've dealt with self-esteem issues pretty much my entire life, just as an actor and in my personal life, just wondering whether you're good enough, wondering whether like you're talented enough. And for him, you know, I've got a great relationship with my family. But for him, you know, obviously his father kind of treated him as if he was useless. It's like, why can't you be more like your brother? So he grew up his entire life just thinking, hey, I'm not Stoles. You know, like I'm never gonna be him. Like I'm just worthless. I'm useless. Like I'm not strong. Like no spoiler, he's strong. He cut a mountain in half. So it's interesting for me to balance that because I'm just kind of taking a little bit of my own personal, you know, I guess you could say my own personal issues of, hey, you know, I never thought of myself as good enough, and kind of incorporating that into the performance. But then on the other end of the spectrum, he's brave in the sense that I think that his the love that he has for his party members, like Frieren and for Fern, and his desire to be loyal and his desire to protect them trumps his fear. So even though he's afraid, he's sitting there going, hey, I know that I'm scared and I want to run away, but I care about them too much to do so, so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to fight. And then normally, it's funny because normally it ends up being at his own, he tends to be the distraction. He tends to be the distraction, and then everyone else does the fighting, and he's like, I guess I'm just gonna run from this monster.
I feel like a lot of people here can resonate themselves with your character, like a lot. So for Chris, if Ison can go on another adventure after the series, what would you want to see him do?
It's kind of, you always see it, but it's never like a big focus. Eisen seems to be like the cook of the group, because I always see him cooking something really tasty. So I would be honestly happy if you went like on a culinary adventure and learning recipes around the continent, and just be like, anybody comes back from their adventures like,
Look, I've learned how to make cakes.
Actually, I would low-key love that myself. And Anime always makes food like 20 times more delicious.
I want like a crossover between Delicious and Dungeon.
I mean, like,
I've improved my birthday hamburger steak. Now I've stuffed it with cheese.
So this was actually like a fan sent in question, and I thought it was just really funny. What would each of your characters say if I asked them to watch my pet rock? It's such a weird question, but I totally dug it.
I mean, I feel like Frieren would end up keeping the rock for 100 years and kind of forget that she even was supposed to watch it. Just get stuck in her giant briefcase somewhere in a corner and lost for most of the eternity.
I don't know, I feel like Fern would agree and then immediately walk away. Sure, I guess. Bye.
I feel like Stark would agree and not walk away
Yeah.
and actually do it. He'd just be like, okay.
I feel like Eisen would actually put in the effort to take care of the rock, bathe it. You didn't leave me instructions on how to like feed it. But I feel like he might be like, am I being played with? Is this like a magical rock versus an actual rock? But I better actually take care of it, just in case it is alive.
Right.
But I wasn't left instructions on how to tend to a rock, so I
brought it with some other rocks. Make sure it wasn't lonely.
I love hearing that voice come out of you.
It's really satisfying, actually.
We record separately, we don't see each other, and I don't know, I just every time I'm just like, oh my god.
Yes. Immaculate. Is there a scene or a moment in Frieren, either in season 1 or season 2, that really just is, you've just been so excited for fans to really get into or like see?
Well, first I have a question. So, show of hands, who has started season 2? Who's holding off to binge it? Because there's a lot, there's a lot of bingers in the room. I feel like it's 50-50 sometimes when I talk to people. Like, a lot of people want to just wait until there's a batch of episodes, curl up on the couch, and binge all the episodes at once. So I guess we'll try and keep it spoiler free for those who haven't seen season 2. But for me, I mean, season 1, the scene with Aura.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. It's just so, to me, coldest line in anime. I mean, wow. She just says that line and her back is turned to Aura, and she's really showing for the first time in the series just how powerful Frieren can be. That scene to me, I mean, it sticks with me. And it's amazing because I'll talk to a lot of people who will come up to me and say, I wasn't watching Frieren, like it wasn't on my radar. but I saw a clip of that scene online and I was like, I need to watch this show. So I think this scene has introduced a lot of people to the anime as well. And fun story, so when I went in to record that scene, I was nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, I'd seen it online, you know, I have to do a good job. I went in there and our director, Jade Saxton, was out that day, and Jill Harris was assistant directing. And so I was like, oh, this is really fun. Fern directing Frieren, like, let's do it, you know? So we got into the booth, we did some lines, and we got to that scene. And I was like, okay, here we go. And we did the line, and Jill was like, we got it. That's it. So we did it in one take, which was awesome.
If anyone doesn't understand voice actors, sometimes booths can be very long days, so that's amazing.
And like as an AD, you're supposed to grab like multiple takes so that the director can pick, but like I'm so glad that that resonated with everybody because I was like, that's it. If we do it again, it will be wrong. Like that is the one. And Jade wasn't mad. Jade was like, no, you got it in one.
Nice.
Let's see, I really like the birthday episode for Stark and just like when my master said that men really like this potion. I love just like the innocence of Frieren there. That was really cute. Also, okay, this is there's a character coming up in season 2 that me and my friends affectionately refer to as Snake Daddy.
Oh?
And I, Jill Harris, want to see Snake Daddy.
That's hilarious.
Daddy, I like that.
Man, you guys chose some really good scenes. For me, for more a comedic thing, I really liked the cart scene where like the bird is like carrying the cart and we have to come up with like a plan to like actually kill the bird and Stark's just like screaming because the cart's fallen. That was a lot of fun. That yell was also in one take.
That was a
which
great
that
yell.
was a goofy one. I did it and Jade's just like, yeah, we don't have to do it again. That's great. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, in normally, like when a character is yelling, the engineer will mute it so it's not in your ear.
Right.
But they left it on.
Oh, for
so,
you?
You know, like Fern's just kind of like dazed afterwards, and I was just like.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. I didn't know that they left it in for you.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And then for season 2, to avoid spoilers, we get some nice scenes with Fern and Stark together. And like I said, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it's nice. It's very nice.
The vibes are nice.
I have a few, but another clip that gets posted a lot. Your Sakuga moment episode, Jordan, when you fight the Red Dragon.
Yes.
Where you do a little flashback and Aizen's talking with Frieren and saying like, I feel so bad for hitting Stark when he was young, but like it thought it was out of anger, but it was my own fight and flight because I saw the potential of you becoming such a great warrior, and Aizen being like, this kid's got the sauce and he's got to outdo me and he's got to be the greatest there ever was. Then it transitions into like flying into the dragon backs. So that definitely was one of my favorites. Like, ooh, I got chills with that one.
That was a cool one.
It's already dead.
What was that?
That boy Stark, he's got the sauce.
Everything sounds cool. I've been hanging out with a lot of these guys for years, and it still blows me away just how it just comes. It catches me off guard sometimes. But I'm going to make another fun question. Which character in the series would be the worst roommate?
Yeah.
Ubel, Morgan Berry's character, she would just like, I don't know, she would like train her cat to pee on your pillow or something. She would just be stealing your stuff and then gaslighting you. Like, I don't know, it was.
I feel so. Most people have seen season 1, right? Okay. I feel like Lon would be a weird roommate because it's like, is he there? It's like, is he not? And if he is, it's like you go, you see him in the room and then you leave and then there's him again, and you're just like, brother, what? Like, so I feel he'd be a weird one.
I feel like Heiter. I mean, besides, I think he'd be a great roommate, but I feel like he would use the excuse of like, dude, I'm hungover as heck. I can't do the chores today. I can't do the dishes. I can't do my obligations. Like, okay, that's fine. Like once a week, but this has happened like 3 times a week, if not more, bro.
God actually told me I need to rest and do. We're tight like that.
I'm gonna have to go with the demon. Maybe like Aura. Like I think she would be so petulant, you know, because like she had a little interaction with Himmel, and then she like went into hiding for 100 years. And if you think about demons too, they're mimicking humans. But are they mimicking human chores? I don't think that, you know? So she probably would not help with any of the cleaning. Yeah.
So, another question that was, I believe, a fan question is, what fantasy RPG class would each of your characters, based on their, not just who they are, but personality?
That's a good one.
I mean, like Frieren is a powerful mage, but for me, she's giving like cleric. Like I don't think she wants to be blasting people, even though she can. Because she's very good at it.
Right. I can see that.
She just wants the, whatever class teaches you like chores, like laundry spell.
I have to say, like, I'm conflicted. If like, I want to say tank, because I feel like Himmel would be the DPS. So I feel like I draw on the aggro while Himmel's finessing on the side. But yeah, I think for RPG class, I'd be like online or like Final Fantasy. I mean, there's a whole like plethora of like classes, but I think like a hard tank.
I can see that. I mean, I'd love to see Stark as a bard.
Yes, absolutely.
The soul of like one, you know what I mean? So I think that'd be a lot of fun. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll see like season, you know, like that'd be funny to just throw it in there.
Like an OVA or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. What do y'all think? What would Frieren be? I mean, she's a powerful mage, but I also was thinking sort of cleric vibes for her as well. Just like studying away in a corner for a long time. Maybe some sort of like NPC that you would come to.
If we're talking like D&D, I'd say for Eisen Barbarian.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm thinking like a wizard, but not one that like goes out and fights, but like lives in a really cool castle and has a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Do they cast fireball?
In a room that they don't care what size it is?
This is actually for Jill. If Fern had to deal with modern technology like smartphones or social media, how do you think she'd handle it?
Interesting. Yeah, I'm like, how would she be really good at it or really bad at it? I don't know. I think, ooh, I could see her, I think she would be a little analog. Like, I think she would have like a physical planner that she would write in. But I'm also like, in my mind, seeing her like, I don't know, on Fortnite, like messing people up. Silently. Yeah.
I think it's fun. I don't know. I feel like Fern could really get into like fan fiction.
Like AO3.
But it's just fan fiction. Stark died this way.
Of course.
He's really pissing me off. I'm gonna fall into a pit of spikes.
All right, for Jordan. If Stark had to take on a normal job instead of adventuring, what job do you think he'd end up with?
Oh, goodness. I feel like he'd fit into everything. I actually think that he would actually be good in a daycare because he's really good with kids and stuff, and we see like a lot of that throughout the show. Like he just has like a lovable heart, and I could see him like doing something with that, or like just like helping like kids, maybe like a teacher. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Regular day job. I mean, that is a regular day job, but if we're talking just like a part-time or something, I can just see him at like a GameStop or something.
And then for Chris, this I think is a fan question. So your voice for Ison is amazing. How did you do it? Or like, how did you come up with the concept of the voice?
Like I said, a bit of the inspiration from Gimli from Lord of the Rings, but you know, I can't do a Scottish accent. But it was just kind of like, I was basing it off like the tone the Japanese say was giving, so.
I'm known for this, but now I could just take it down and I didn't have to shred my throat. Being bombastic, so I was like, he's stoic, but chill. So you don't have to put that much effort into it until the battle begins.
Separate question for the whole cast. Are you able to watch Frieren and enjoy it, or not watch it because you hear your voice?
So for me, it's like hard to turn that work part of my brain off. So like as an actor, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have read it this way or whatever. And especially since I've started directing, like I can't not look at the flaps, and like sometimes I'm like, oh, that should have, I would have just like kicked that one frame to the right, or oh, that looks like it has a 104 stretch, and I would have given it like a 102. It's just like weird, specific stuff. It's broken me.
Yeah, no, for me, a little bit of the same. Like I will see like the performance, and you know, I'll watch my stuff back and be like, okay, you know, maybe I could have done this, or next time I'll try to do that. But at the same time, it's also really fun, like hearing all of them in their roles. So I'm entertained. Plus, I watch it with my wife, so we like just enjoy it together. Because she's like very supportive and very just like, oh, that's you, and I'm like, it is. So it's a lot of fun. But no, I can. It's weird. It's like I can turn part of my brain off for the entertainment, but more so for myself. Like my performance is when I turn my actor brain on, and I'm just like being very nitpicky about some of the stuff. And that's just, I guess, the way my brain works.
I always find it like while watching through, it's like, I wonder who's gonna pop up and voice this character. So it's always interesting. It's like, who is this? And it's always like looking an actor up, like, oh, I love their work. I need to like watch more of their stuff. So it's always like interesting. Like, okay, who's gonna voice this character? And like, let me research. And like, that's a new voice I've never heard. No, I know this guy, and he's sounding great. But for me as Eisen, I don't got lip flap, so that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's the best.
So I can take my time with it. It's like, but sometimes I get overwhelmed. It's like, ah, that was good, but we're like about 2 seconds over. It's like, oops, sorry.
You know, I end up watching the episode in Japanese more to prepare for the role. So I end up seeing a lot of the Japanese performances, obviously as a huge inspiration. And then, you know, I don't think I would watch it by myself, but oftentimes if I'm showing it to my friends or my family, I can turn that part of my brain off that says, oh, that's me, oh my gosh. So when I first started in the industry, it was way hard to watch my performances. But now that I've been doing it for 13 years, it feels more natural to hear my voice. I can turn it off a bit more. So I love watching also the clips online. So after the episode airs, seeing what people are talking about is really fun, because sometimes there's lines that like are just in the background that people love. Like my favorite is the scene with Shark and the Dragon. Afterwards, she runs to the hoard of treasure and sings, "Now this hoard of treasure is mine." And it just makes me smile because, like, I mean, it's a cute moment for her, but it's also just sort of in the background. So it's neat to see, you know, what lines people gravitate toward.
Fan question though, it's kind of taking us a little bit back, but what was your first reaction when you found out you got cast for the role?
So Frieren kind of came off the tail end of Gundam, A Witch from Mercury, and that was also a Kana Ichinose role, and Fern and Suletta are very different. And so I played Suletta, and then I saw Frieren coming out, and I was like, oh God, I would love to play Fern, but I was like, I don't think Jay even knows who I am. And so when I got the email, I was very, very stoked. I was like, what are the odds? Oh my God, I won the lottery.
Dreams really do come true, and it's not Disney.
They do. And I mean, it really was a dream come true for me because I remember I was walking down my stairs and I got the text and it said, "Would you accept the role of Frieren in a show called Frieren?" And I was like, oh my God, like a title character, this is like a dream for any actor. And I immediately was like so nervous, like, oh my gosh, I have to do this character justice. I remember starting to like Google and just look at what people were saying about the manga, because there was a really passionate base of manga readers who were totally hyped for the anime. But I mean, I just don't think anyone even really knew how big the show was going to get and how many people, you know, feel touched by the story and the characters. So, yeah, it really was a dream come true.
For me, so I heard of Frieren, but I didn't really know too much about it. I ended up getting an email that just was like, "Hey Jordan, can you come in for 15 minutes for like Frieren?" And I'm like, cool, I'm probably like a soldier that's gonna die. That's what I do best. No, I go in and Jade tells me, she's like, yeah, so I decided to cast you as a Stark. And I'm like, cool, I don't know what that means. So I do the line and I go home and I tell my wife, I'm like, yeah, so they cast me in Frieren. And she's like, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I think my dude dies like the next episode though. So like, I'm like, she cast me as Stark, and she's like, Jordan. I'm like, what? And she pulls up the promotional art, and she's like, so you see that like orange-haired fellow right there? I'm like, yeah, that's Stark. And I'm like, oh, he's on the promo art. Like, that's great. Yeah, that's the main dude like in the show. Oh shoot, me? And then I was like, oh dang, they picked me? That's crazy. So I was very blessed, very thankful. And then immediately, of course, you know, I'm doing my research on just trying to see like everything that I could, any information I could find about the character, like their personality, their wants, their, you know, their story, back history, everything. I did all my Google research to be as prepared as I could for the next episode. Because it was more than 15 minutes for the next episode. And that's just kind of how it came about.
He did not die.
He did not die. Yes, Stark did not die.
Yeah, I came in not knowing anything at all about the show itself because I thought it was a rare case that I didn't audition for the show. I was just kind of like selected. So I don't. And you know, after recording like the first few episodes, like I wonder why I got cast as. I mean, I know I usually the deeper, rougher kind of guys, but I was like, is it because I played a dwarf like last season in another show? I wonder if like, or like, who can play a dwarf? Chris played a dwarf last season, and I thought it was a pretty good voice. So I don't know how the selection came about, but finding out was like, oh, this isn't like Isekai 1778. This is actually like a world-building original fantasy world series. So I was like, oh, I'm in like something really like generational, something of high-quality production. And I was like, well, I just hit the lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Trying to find another really fun out of the box question. And it's like, it's there, but it's still like coming together.
Do we still have a few questions on the board?
Yeah, I still have.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, here's one for Jill and Jordan. Which sitcom/rom-com couple do you think Fern and Stark most resemble?
Oh man.
And this can be like other anime or like live TV.
What's immediately coming to mind is Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
A little Aubrey Plaza.
Yes. Chris Pratt.
Right.
I can see that.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe like that, hopefully developing into like Jim and Pam from like,
Oh my
you know,
god.
from The Office. I can see that. I don't know why this came to me, and maybe it's just more the comedic aspect, but like in Seinfeld, like Jerry and who's the girl? Elaine, like maybe a little bit of that kind of dynamic too, of like from like I guess they're not together, but it's like the friendship dynamic of they're that close where they can
Really
kind of
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of that, but I do like the Parks and Rec, hopefully into like The Office.
Yeah,
I
no,
feel like that'd
I
be
think
cool.
those are
What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm not crazy.
If your character were dropped into modern day America, what would confuse them the most?
Where are the demons? Are they? They actually might be here.
Yeah.
The demons are the friends we met along the way.
Tell me more about this toilet and its plumbing mechanism. This interests me deeply. I want to dig down and find out this network of pipes you've developed here in this modern age, you call it.
What do you mean I can't carry this axe around?
I feel like Fern, I can't think of anything specific, but I feel like Fern would just like get really fed up with how inefficient something is. Or just like she'd go to the DMV and it doesn't have to be this. I should run the DMV.
Please, no.
I feel like, I don't know, something tells me that she would be like, I don't know if it would be bothered, but like maybe a little confused about like self-checkout. Something, I don't know why. I feel like she'd be like, you have to do this myself? Like I can't just give money to somebody? I mean, I guess you could, but I feel like self-checkout might be a little interesting for her.
I kind of have this like, I'll do it myself vibe. Like, give it to me, I'll do it myself.
It's in the banking area.
Am I an employee of Walmart right now?
What's Walmart?
I think also Eisen would be very befuddled, but also very interested in air fryers. You mean you can fry food with the air?
Oh my goodness. I guess like I know you've touched like some on it, like just based on your personal feelings about each character that you've voiced, but like what makes your character just so memorable? Like something specific that's just like that resonates with you like forever. You know, kind of like one of those, you know, years from now when you moved on, other roles, bigger things, you know, whatever. Like what's something that always keeps space in your brain of like happy?
Well, I think for me, for Stark in particular, so I love the relationship that he has with Eisen. It's like, you know, master student, but it's almost like father figure because he didn't really have one. Now I've got a dad, he's great. But what I love about it is, for me personally, I see that relationship, and there's a moment in the show where Stark says, I'll go on this adventure and return with stories just like the ones he told me, talking about Eisen and the stories Eisen's told him. So for me, I used to live with my grandparents, and I lived with them for about 26 years of my life before I moved to Texas to pursue voice acting. And after I did, I would always go to my grandfather and I would tell him like stories of like my voice acting adventures, like what I was booking. He didn't watch anime, but he was like, hey dude, that's so cool, that's awesome. So he ended up passing away back in 2023. So I'm not able to, tell him stories like that anymore. So it was just so cool and it resonated with me. Hey, Stark's like wanting to go on this journey, but he's got something he wants to do. He wants to go and tell Eisen all the wonderful stories. He wants to experience the things that Eisen experienced as well. And come back and be like, hey, yo, I experienced this too. So he's trying to hurry because he realizes, hey, Eisen's getting older, and if I don't hurry up, he might pass away, and I won't be able to tell him the stories too. So that just resonates with me, and that's just something for me that I really like to gravitate towards when it comes to Stark. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to think about just the similarities between myself and the character that I play.
I love that, like, actual human, like, connection,
Yes.
like, emotional connection to that, like, that, yeah. I do that, I have that with my, grandmother, who also died around the same time
Right.
as yours, and, like, I think about, like, oh, I just want to rush in and tell her, like, oh, hey, like, I did this, or I did this, and then you're like, they're not there.
Right.
And you're like, how do I do that? So, it's very powerful.
I think, I really like the episode, I think it's the episode where Fern gets sick and there's a flashback between Frieren and Master Heiter. And he's like, Fern needs a lot of praise. Like, I know she doesn't seem like it, but, she works really hard and she can, she just needs somebody to see and acknowledge. And then I'm like, oh God, I'm Fern. But I like that, like, she seems very competent. She doesn't seem needy in any way, but like, she is both very logical and very emotional. And she's got all those emotions kind of bubbling under the surface and she just doesn't let them out. But, we see it when she seemingly gets very, very mad at the drop of a hat, but I think there's just like a bunch of built up stuff that, and I can relate to that, but I think like it's, I don't know, the characters in the show are so interesting, and then also like, when you watch an anime, usually like, the powerful wizard is like really passionate and loud and like, and I think it's really fascinating that she doesn't even necessarily have an affinity for magic. She's just trying to make Master Heiter proud and make Frieren proud. And I think kind of as she's on this journey, she is starting to, like, I didn't choose this life, but she's starting to fall in love with the life that she has, and she's learning to appreciate magic. I don't know, I think she's a really interesting character. I think the show is really good at making realistic and complex characters.
I like Eisen's kind of like, where he has a line where he wouldn't be where he is today without fear. And knowing, because I feel like he has very much survivor's guilt of running away when his whole village was killed by demons. So I feel like part of him, like, he wants to like stand to the occasion, but throughout the series, especially with Himmel, it's okay to run away, but also you need to know when to channel your fear when you need to step up to the occasion. So that's something that really resonates with me, because I've been in many situations where I feel like I'm not ready to put my foot forward in something, but as I say, as an actor, you want to try to channel that nervous energy into the performance somehow. But also know when you're gonna bite off more than you can chew as well, to have that clarity of mind. So that's what really resonates with me, and what I remember a lot about Eisen in general. So I love that aspect of him, and slowly softening up because of the party, because I feel like if he didn't have his cast of friends, he probably would have gone into a battle that he overestimated and got himself killed a long time ago. to compensate for his failure. It's his perceived failure of failing to save his village, or to help with that.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, normally I feel like my answer would be processing grief, you know, because I mean, even from just like episode 1, seeing what Frieren goes through and saying like, why didn't I try to better know and understand him? It's just like, you know, it makes me think about all the people that I've lost, and you know, the moments that we had, and then you know, the moments where it's too late. So it's there's definitely so much to learn if you've ever experienced grief, to see how she kind of moves through that emotion. But I would say my silly answer is I love that Frieren is sleepy. I'm a sleepy girl, and like nobody gets me, you know, like I can sleep for, I think my record is 20 hours at a time. That's real. That's real. Yeah, I mean, like normally 12 hours is like a good amount of sleep for me, and nobody gets that. So I mean, I love that they portray a character who has such a long lifespan. It makes sense that she would be a sleepy girl. Like I think that is so cool, the way that they think about time, and how Frieren deals with time, how other elves deal with time. There's another elf that we get to meet in season 2, and I think it's fascinating to see how she deals with her near immortal lifespan. But yeah, I think the thing that will stick with me is the sleepiness. My parents were just like, how did they know? So, yes, sleepy people of the world unite, yes.
It sounds like we're getting towards the end of our panel, so I have one last question. I know it's sad, isn't it? I wish I had a lot more questions to ask, but also I wish we had more time. But the last question, I'm gonna leave on a happier note for everyone. It's kind of a silly question. If the characters had a game night, first of all, who would win? And second of all, what game?
Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
She would have some nasty decks. She would
Oh.
mess y'all up.
I'm screwed. Whatever game we play, if somehow I win,
You're
I
done.
know I'm gonna hear it later. So I'm going to let Frieren win.
That is the correct answer. Remember, I was right.
Eisen, I feel like he definitely would lose, but I'd say Settlers of Catan, and he would just end up hoarding one specific resource.
I just want a lot of meat.
I feel like they would play like the game of life, you know? But Frieren wouldn't understand like exactly what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to live a typical life, and she would definitely lose. But
I also agree with Frieren with life. I think she'd spend time just like spinning the spinner like the whole time, just liking the sound of it.
yeah,
She just wants to spin. She's just a girl.
yeah.
She's just a girl. But thank you
Having
so
children.
much for joining us today.